Hey everybody, hope you all having a good week so far. Looks like there's been a little bit of green in the charts, and we're going to take a look at that. So currently, oops, currently BTC is in this rising channel here, kind of the same situation as this one here. Okay, normally these are bearish. We did have quite a bit of green, so we still have a little bit of time maybe to finish out this month to see if we're actually going to pass through this. Um, However, you could bounce here and then break down from there. You'd really need to you need to stay above this trend line here. So let's see how we react over the remainder of this month. But looking at the indicators, right, if you're looking, it's overbought, and then the 3-day is also overbought. Okay, there is some more momentum coming into the market, which you can tell by those histograms growing here, right? But you're still overbought. Whenever we're overbought, we typically go down for a while. And then if you look at the weekly does actually look more bullish, but you can have one of those fake outs that I was talking about, like over here. And that was a pretty significant move from the bottom. So I think it was 45% or so. Yeah, 45%. And we did not have a 45% move yet through here. Now, if we were going to repeat what happened over here, we would have had it right here, and that's kind of what I was expecting. But we might have one here, and we can look at that percentage move so far. It's about 25%. 45% would bring this up to like 85,000. So there is a potential that it does run quite a bit from here if it does break out. And then you could have a fake out, or it could just start a new cycle. But again, guys, we just have not had that happen ever in BTC. Every time we've had some kind of 4-year cycle top, you've dropped at least like 80%. Um, so just be cautious here. But so far, that is kind of what you want to see, right? You're getting closer to the low, and then you're starting to pass through the MACD. Let's look. Okay. So let's see how we do in this pattern over the next couple weeks, and then we've got to pass this trend line. That should be pretty significant resistance here. But you could just have like an explosion up and then a sell-off. Like just one day that just goes crazy and then some kind of a sell-off. Could happen. Get people pretty excited. That would, if there's a sell-off there, that's a big warning for downward price action. So we're going to watch that for sure. I'm still not buying any altcoins or anything currently. I want to see how we trend here. I've been buying for years and years and years. So I have quite a bit, right? I'm just going to save, take care of things I need to take care of, and save what I can for a potential down here. Okay, so that pretty much covers BTC currently. Let's look at ETH. I think ETH had a pretty good couple of days too. And you know, ETH could have bottomed as well down here, right? Or it could be doing some sort of a bottoming to where it doesn't break. It doesn't break. this low. You know, it could just continue to go sideways here, up and sideways, and not breaking out of this channel. I mean, you could have a larger, right, if it broke that level, you could have a larger pattern here, but currently this is holding up pretty well. Okay, so that could happen with the altcoins since they're so low. But most of the time, well, every time BTC breaks down, ETH pretty much breaks down as well. But this cycle for the altcoins are pretty strange. A lot of them still kind of just sitting on their bottoms of the last cycle. So altcoins, it could be an actual good time to buy. It's just a little bit risky for me here. Let's look at the indicators. Probably look a lot like BTC, right? You're overbought on the daily. Daily's not that big of a deal. You're overbought on the 3-day. You do have momentum growing, so we're going to see if we bounce a little bit higher here. These moving averages are kind of going to be a little bit of a pain. 3,000 for ETH is going to be a pain to get through. If we're going to blow up here, we're going to have some resistance probably there. Weekly actually looks great. I mean, you're getting ready to cross here on Sunday. But again, you can look over here. You had 1 week that crossed right here, and you had a fake out, right? That pushed it up here. But then the next time it crossed, the bottom was in. So normally when you cross on a weekly after a long downward turn, the macro bottom is in. When you have a second cross, right? So we'll watch that. This is kind of a ways away, but that's going to be a significant trend line to break. Right, if you look at this past one here, trend lines on longer time frames are pretty strong indicators of bullish price action, right? So once you passed the indicator, you were at 238, and then you went up to 4,000. Okay, we're kind of a ways away from that. Right, you could have a big move up, you could go sideways, and then not pass it until sometime next year. But hopefully by that time, we would have accumulated our positions and then rode whatever wave this is to the upside. ETH is going to be a pretty good one. There's a whole bunch of ETFs and everything like that, probably landing somewhere around that $10,000 mark in the next cycle once it finally breaks this high. I know it's not a whole lot compared to like this cycle back here, 4,500, but every cycle gets less and less. Could go higher than that, potentially. So accumulating ETH here isn't a bad plan. There's a lot of institutions that are wanting Ethereum. Okay, we can look at ICP. I've posted a few things about ICP recently. Seems like they're doing really, really well right now. Two-week actually looks pretty good, considering everything else. But again, if BTC breaks down, it's going to be a problem. ICP is also crossed here, building momentum, and then it's crossed there. So this is, if this is going to be bullish, it's going to be bullish very soon. Okay, these are two very strong signs for any type of stock or crypto to go up. You do want to look at like other time frames, but even the 3-day looks amazing. It's getting close to passing through that zero line. And then the daily, hopefully it's going to maintain a cross by tomorrow. But so far this actually looks pretty good for a move to the upside. ADA looks pretty good too on the daily. 3-day looks alright. Weekly looks really good. Looks a lot like ICP here. But again, right, you had a fake out right here, our first cross, and then it went up, 60% or whatever that was, and then it recrossed down here. Even at this point, the second recross, the bottom was not in on ADA. We can look at the prior cycle and see if something changed there. But you also had a cross right here, and then you had divergence down here before things started to move up. And then it made another new low down here before going 10,000% or whatever crazy amount that was. Yeah, 12,000, 13,000. So if it breaks where we're at now, right, this is your next level of support. That's probably where I would be buying, somewhere between there, potentially back down to here, but we'll see. If it depends on what BTC does and then what happens shortly if it bounces from where we're at. We could look at XLM. You also have that cross, same thing here. So we're going to see how this plays out as well. And the momentum is looking pretty good here also. I think we did break through this trend line here. Yeah, so we could have a decent sized move here. That's the major trend line that we're wanting to pass. Once you pass that, you're probably going to go at least to 30 and then potentially back up to 50. Could we just get some surprise pump like this that moves up 800% in just a couple weeks? Yes, something like that could happen. I think it'd be more likely to finish out this chart pattern here, but we'll watch and see. The world is a pretty weird place right now, so any kind of event that could happen could push the price up for digital assets significantly. Certain ones, I suppose. But I would lean less likely on that. XRP, or actually let's look at the 2 week here. This closed I think on Sunday, so yeah, 2 weeks still looks pretty rough. Yeah, it still looks pretty rough. We've still got a long ways to go before even there's a cross there. But it starts with the 1 week, right? Once you get across here, it starts to push the 2 week back up as well. And then the monthly follows shortly after that. But the monthly here, it's very, very separated. Once that crosses, normally it's a pretty bullish sign for crypto in general. This token is such a pain in the butt. I mean, you had years of downward price action, and then 1 month you just made it all up. All of this for just 1 month. It's just wild. But here's a good lesson, right? Whenever I said that it was going to pull back from this price, this is where I got it. If you're only looking at this chart, you look at a monthly chart, you do the closes here, you have a trend line. It's probably going to sell off there for a while. And if you took some profits, awesome, great. And normally you would have another leg to the upside, but that did not play out that way, so we're going to wait for the next cycle here. XLM is doing a lot of stuff with everything I've been posting in the group. I think I posted some stuff with XLM. It's starting to go parabolic on I think RWAs, or let me see. Yeah, RWAs. Stellar has crossed 2 billion in RWAs. So you start somewhere, right? You start somewhere, and then it starts going parabolic, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So in January, let's do just last year, July 2025, or April 2025, we were at 500 million. On-chain growth in action, right? And then a year later, we're at 2 billion, and it's going straight up. It's never gone straight up before. So the value of owning XLM should be going up, right? over time. You'll see this happen first, and then the price of the asset will start to go up. Okay, and over time, if the world is adopting cryptocurrencies and it's adopting all of this and they're transitioning to a new financial system over time, this is going to replace a lot of what we're already doing. Okay, this is just software is eating the world slowly at a time. It would have been, of course, it would have been nice to be a part of a move like this. However, we're late, so you've got a long consolidation period here, but it'll eventually do something similar again as long as the tech continues to do good. But right, this went up 53,000% in 2017. So 53,000% needs to consolidate for a while, and this is where we're at right now. So you are making higher highs or higher lows, boom, boom. Currently here, it could create a new low here, probably not breaking here, or it could just stay in this pattern and go sideways for a while, right? Retest down here, and then eventually pull back, break out, and then go parabolic. And then you'll repeat probably something like this again. And this doesn't always happen, right? You can look at Sol, for example. Sol was released, I guess, in 2000 and actually it did happen here. Okay, so Sol is kind of doing the same thing, and this pattern here is this can like do something like this, right? It's already broken this trend here, so you could come back up and retest it, but I do expect Sol to break down kind of like XLM, because if you look here, you have a larger percentage, 100,000% on this one. Okay, so like XLM, it lasted several cycles. So like buying right here could be just something to be cautious of. Could be like buying right here. Okay, that would mean 5 years of consolidation for the most part. You want to buy something whenever everybody thinks it's dead. That is typically a good plan, as long as the company's building stuff and you start seeing value. Like Stellar, it's doing RWAs 3 times the amount it was doing last year, and people think it's dead, but it's continuing to go up. That's kind of like divergence whenever it comes to looking at charts. The utility goes up, but price goes down, and eventually price follows. We could look at XRP. There's probably not a whole lot going on there, but you can even do the same thing with XRP, except XRP did break to a new high. It didn't sell off right here like XLM did, which is a little odd on a monthly. But you would use this as resistance, you would use this as resistance, and that would kind of be like an area to watch, right? And you watch the indicators and kind of see where it's going to end up. Monthly here still looks like trash. weekly looks pretty good, right? You're probably, if we're green, you're probably going to have a cross here. You're probably going to have a cross here. And hopefully it moves up significantly, but we'll see. We'll watch. And then the 3-day looks really bullish as well. Daily looks like it might pass to the zero line, however it's oversold. So break up here, we need to cross, break our trend line that we're at, similar to XLM, right? You have a trend line here. You might just come up and touch this trend line at 180 and get rejected. If we can break that, you've got about $3 again to worry about. $2.50 and then $3 to worry about. If you break $3, you're probably going to our targets here, these fib levels. Okay, less likely, but possible. And this could break out in the next four-year cycle. Same thing is going on with XRP as XLM, probably more so. It's held price a lot better than XLM, which I would have figured they would have kind of done the same thing, but XRP is kind of where the money went to for the most part. Alright guys, I don't have, actually, we can look at the BTC dominance chart, but I think it's going up if anything. Yeah, I mean this just looks pretty bullish, so not a whole lot going on there. If things go up currently, then if BTC goes up, alts will probably go up too, but you might have a little bit of a sell-off here. Alright guys, I hope y'all have a good week. That's all I really had to cover. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll talk to y'all on Sunday.